Our Gospel today, our first readings and the second reading of this day can be summarized into one word, the word touch. Touch. We all know what is touch. We also need touch, and we also give touch. By this word, the readings of our Sunday, of the 13th Sunday today, sum up by this word. When we go back to the first reading today, coming from the book of Wisdom, then we realize that God created man and woman by the touch of His own hands. Let us take a look at the Genesis in chapter 1, verse 26 to 27. God took part of the soil, and then in His hands, He molded us. He made it into a human being, male and female. He created them in the likeness of God. And God was so pleased when He formed man and woman out of this clay, and God breathed unto the nostril of this creature we call man and woman. That is why we become living beings. You and I are alive because God breathed unto us the breath of life. The touch of God when He created us is a touch of love. He loved what His hand has created. And the touch of God is a touch of life. That is why He breathed unto us the breath of life, and we become living beings. And you and I are created to become like God. Remember that you and I are created in His own image and likeness, and therefore you and I are visible image of the invisible God. You are the living image of God here on earth, and our life is to mirror the Creator God, who created us out of love and who created us with life. You and I must love, and you and I must be life-giving in our time, in our family, in our place of work, and everywhere we go. That is our task. Remember and keep this in mind always, that you and I are to mirror the Creator God who loves us, who gives us life. Be like Him in our daily life, wherever we go, wherever we live, with our family, with friends, and with colleagues in our workplaces. Then the second thing, when we look at the second reading, there's another kind of touch. It may not be a physical touch, but it was a touch that also gives life to people. St. Paul says to the Corinthians na, in your abundance, remember those in need. Remember those people in poverty. In your abundance, you can share your gifts, you can share your blessings to them, and by doing that, you touch the lives of people. Even if you don't know them by name, even if you do not visit their place, you touch their lives because of your generosity. So there's another level of touch, touching people's lives by being generous to them, by being kind to them, by praying for them, by assisting them in their needs. That is another kind of touch, a touch of the heart. The heart was touched, and when the heart was touched, then it is a grateful heart. That is why people give thanks to the Lord because of those people who also assisted them in their needs. And that is our vocation. So we are created by a loving God, giving us life, and we are called to be that image of God for other people. We are called to share that love, to share our abundance that we receive from God to other people, to assist them in their needs, in their poverty. And then by doing that, we touch them, we touch their hearts, and we reveal to them that we are truly children of our loving Father. When we go to the Gospel today, we found out two women. The first, that lady, that little girl of 12-year-old, And then the second was that the woman sick with hemorrhages. And then these two. While Jesus was there, surrounded with many people, there was this official of the synagogue named Jairus, coming closer to Jesus, knelt down, and then begged Jesus, Lord, please come with me to my house. My daughter is at the brink of death. Lord, come with me and lay your hands on my daughter so that my daughter will be healed and will live. And then Jesus consented, yes, I'll go. Okay, well, let's go. While they were walking, there was also this woman who was suffering hemorrhages for 12 years, but to no avail, to no healing. She has spent everything that she possessed. So therefore, this woman was reduced into poverty and was so desperate and even hopeless, looking for cure of her own sickness. But there was no one who can heal her. But when this woman heard about Jesus, this woman penetrated among the crowds and then get closer to Jesus and convinced in herself, if I can touch even the tassel of his cloak, then I will get healed. And she indeed touched the tassel of the vestment of Jesus, and then she noticed that the hemorrhages she suffered for 12 years suddenly stopped. And Jesus, noticing that there was power coming out of him, stopped and then keep looking and asking, who touched my cloak? Who touched my vestment? Who touched? And then the disciple would like to dismiss that, oh my Lord, don't you know that so many people surrounding you and so many people following you? It is just by accident that people sometimes touch your cloak. And why bother asking who is touching your cloak? But Jesus said, who touched? And then this woman, trembling in fear, came out and knelt before Jesus, telling the truth that it was she who touched the cloak of Jesus. But that woman might be expecting some kind of that Jesus would kind of scold her pagkatapos. But that woman never scolded by Jesus. What happened? Jesus affirmed the faith of the woman. Jesus said, do not be afraid, daughter. Your faith has healed you. Then what can we realize in this part of the gospel? This is just an insertion of the main event. But in this insertion of the main event, we can realize that first, Jesus allows us to come closer. Jesus allows himself to be found, and Jesus allows himself to be touched by us who are in need. Jesus is there, allowing you to touch, and when you touch Jesus with faith, miracles happen. And this is what is the experience of the woman. The woman, in her mind, in her faith, convinced herself that Jesus can heal her. Jesus, by even touching the cloak of Jesus, then this woman believed that I will get healed. Lord, I will get healed because I will touch you. And that was a touch of faith. And that touch of faith made the miracle. And Jesus noticed that it was not just simply a kind of accidental touch. It was an intentional touch, and it was touch of faith. When we touch Jesus in faith, power of Jesus come out to heal us, to give us the grace that we need. That is why Jesus keep looking, who touched my cloak? And then this woman came out. Never scolded, but affirmed. Jesus affirmed the faith of the woman. O woman, do not be afraid. You may now go because your faith has healed you. So take note, when we touch Jesus with faith, miracles happen. Now, after this woman was healed, finally restored to good health, there was this messenger from the house of Jairus telling Jairus, Oh, why bother the master? Your daughter has died. Nothing more we can do. Jairus was back down. He was so down that his faith was shaken, broken into pieces. But here comes Jesus telling Jairus, do not be afraid, just have faith. The woman was never afraid. She has faith. And this Jairus, in the beginning, he had faith. But it crumpled when he heard the news that the daughter died. But Jesus said, do not be afraid, do not worry, just have faith. And then Jesus accompanied to the house, entered the house, and he found wailing, he found crying, commotion in the house. And Jesus told them, what is this all about? The child is not dead, just asleep. And they ridiculed Jesus. And Jesus motioned them to get out of the house, and he brought in to the room of the daughter, brought in the mother, the father, the three disciples, Peter, John, and James. He brought into the house and then touched the hands of that little girl and said, Talita kumi, Talita kum. Little girl, get up. And that little girl immediately got up, restored to life. What we can discern and what we can reflect in this is that Jesus' touch gives life. Jesus' touch restores us to life. In the first miracle, Jesus allows the woman to touch her. Miracles happen. Here comes the most hopeless. No more life. But Jesus touched the little girl and said, Talita kum. Little girl, stand up. And life was restored. That little girl was restored to life. Jesus can restore us to life. Are you getting hopeless today? Are you burdened with all the things that you carry in this life? Remember, there is that Jesus. Allow that Jesus to touch you and gives you back life. Now, when we look at the situation, the main miracle is about the healing of the daughter of Jairus. We found an image of the family. Here is the father, so worried about her daughter. Here is the mother, so quiet. And here is the daughter, the one who died and restored to life by the touch of Jesus. What we can reflect is that in the family, when there is Jesus, there is life. In the family, even if you are broken because of you have many conflicts, you quarrel every day, but when there is Jesus in your family, the broken relationships will be restored back to life. That is why today we need to understand and we need to pray for our Filipino families, because we have now the divorce bill. The divorce bill that is already approved in the third reading in the lower house, in the Congress. And this divorce bill is to cut off the marriage relationship. But I think the problem is not marriage. The problem is those entering into marriage. Ganito po mga kapatid. Ang pag-aasawa ay isang banal na estado, a sacred state of life. At dahil banal, kailangan po nating paghandaan. Yan po pang nangyayari ngayon. Dahil maraming mga battered wife, minsan battered husband din, maraming unfaithfulness, may nagtataksil, ang dami ng mga pangyayari sa pamilya, a lot of deprivation economically, a lot of hurting emotionally. Then we want to destroy the institution of marriage. That is something wrong. Why? Itong marriage na ito, institution yan. Bago ka pumasok, dapat alam mo ano yung pag-aasawa. Dapat alam mo what is marriage. Kapag hindi ka pa ready, don't get in. Pagkatapos, mabuti pa nga yung teacher, di ba? Sige, magti-teacher ka para kukuha ka ng licensure. May exam, di ba? May teacher's board exam. Yung pag-aabogado, meron dyan. May bar exam. Yung iba, merong civil service exam. Sa kasal, may exam ba? Wala. And then, this marriage is a sacred institution, and out of this marriage, we found out a strength in our family. Sinasabi nga natin, the basic unit of family is, the basic unit of society is our family. And the family, mabubuo sa marriage. Now, ngayon, ano pong problema? Ang tao may problema. Halimbawa, sa batas na ngayon na pumasa sa third reading dyan sa lower house, sinasabi na it cuts off, the absolute divorce cuts off the connection in marriage and then returns that person to single state. Problema, the law allows you to get married again. Okay, anong problema doon? Sige, may karapatan akong mag-asawa uli. Correct. That's your right. Correct. Pero kung ikaw ang problemado, kahit ilang beses ka pa mag-aasawa, the same problem will occur. Kung ikaw ang may ano sa utak, kung ikaw yung pag-uugali mo, kung ikaw ang problema, kahit ilang pag-aasawa pang gagawin mo, dala-dala mo ang problema. So anong nangyayari? You are propagating the problems. You are not solving the problem. By means of divorce, you are not solving the problem. Bagkus ito ay ipinalaganap mo pa ang problema. At ang mga kabataan ang siyang affected. Ito kasing divorce, yun bang gusto mong masunod yung kagustuhan mo? Totoo naman talaga na maraming mga pagkakataon na battered ang wife, maraming pagkakataon, pero iyon lang ba ang nakitang solusyon? At ang nakakatawa pa sa batat na ito, kung titingnan mo yung kanyang basis of divorce, ito yung basis na nariyan sa family code, ito yung basis for legal separation and basis for annulment of marriage. Ito yung basis na ginawa nila for basis for absolute divorce. Nariyan may batas na tayo ng annulment. Ay, nasagot na yan ng ating batas. At ito yung marriage. Sana, kung ako pa sana yung lawmaker, kapag magdi-divorce ka, hindi ka na papayagan na mag-asawang muli. Bakit? You bring along with you the same problem. Kung ang buhay mo rito, may problema ka, pagdating mo doon, problemado ka. So kaya, hindi makakapag-address sa problema ng pamilya ang diborsyo. Ang gagawin sana, okay, because this is sacred duty, sacred relationship, yung marriage, kailangan ang pagpasok pa lang doon ay kailangan i-prepare yung mga taong napapasok. Paano po bang preparation natin? Sa church side, 1 day or 2 days pre-K na seminar. Sa government side, ilang araw ba ang population education seminar sa atin sa government side? Half day, 1 day, or 2 days? And then you expect these people to live forever, till death do them part. Ano bang help na natanggap ng nag-asawa after marriage? Meron ba tayong counseling for marriage? Meron ba tayong program for married couple? How to solve problems? How to teach them to handle relationships? Kasi pagkatapos ng ilang taon, diyan mag-uumpisa, ang marami ng pag-aaway, ang dami ng mga hindi pagkaintindihan, yan kaya hindi nagkaintindihan at walang tulong na natanggap mula sa simbahan, mula sa gobyerno, mula sa mga iba-ibang grupo. Let us break the marriage. That is sinful. Kahit ilang marriage pa ang wawasakin mo, kapag ikaw mismo ang tao ang may problema, pagdating sa susunod na marriage, problematic ka pa rin. Bakit? Psycho-emotional problem. Hindi malulutas ng divorce ang psycho-emotional problem. Ako ang may problema, hindi ang marriage as an institution. Kaya, kung ako may problema, ang batas na ginawa nila, pwede pa rin ako mag-asawa after my divorce. Kung gayon, mas lalong dumami ang problema. mas lalong ma-affected ang mga kabataan. Halimbawa, pagpapasok ako sa another marriage, magkakaanak na naman ako. Sige, pagdating doon, kapag ang problema is yung irresponsible person ako, ayaw kong tanggapin yung responsibility as a father, tatakbo na naman ako kapag mayroong problema. Pagdating doon, mayroon ako nakitang gwapa. Okay, enter naman to relationship, gagawa naman tayo ng bata uli. 3 na ang mga bata ko. 3 ng relationship ko. Ganun pa yung problema. Dahil ang problema, ako, hindi yung marriage ang problema. Akong pumasok sa pag-aasawa, ang may problema. Itong taong may problema, ang ating gagamutin, ang ating tutulungan upang siya ay magiging ma-prepare, ang magiging better husband, better wife. Ang problema sa atin, nawala si Kristo sa buhay ng pamilya. Tingnan mo yung may Kristo sa pamilya. Kapag kasama mo si Kristo, may problema. Maraming problema. Pero merong extra strength. Merong extra lakas. Kasama mo ang Diyos. At Diyos na tumawag sa iyo, ang Diyos ang magpapatatag sa iyo. That God who calls you to this state of life will also sustain you with His grace. And that is what we forget. And remember in the gospel, naging gumaling sila nang lumapit sila kay Jesus. The woman with hemorrhages touches Jesus, getting closer to Jesus. Ang paglapit natin kay Jesus ay magdadala ng biyaya. Ang touch ng Panginoon sa pamilya natin ay magdadala ng kagalingan. Nariyan. Promise pa kayo. Tell that do you part? Yes. Tell that do us part. Sagpaon tanong mo rin inyo. Bitaw no ka naging huwad tayo, hindi ka natutuo sa sinasabi mo. Kaya kapag hindi ka pa sure na totoo yung sasabihin mo pagpapakasal mo, huwag ka mo nang pumasok, maproblema ka lang dyan. At yung problema, maaapektuhan yung iba. Kaya, kung gusto ka magminyo, di pa ka ready? Ay sa pagpatugat-tugang minyo dong, ay patugat-tugang minyo day. Kaya nga naman, you will be breaking lives. You will be ruining lives. You will be ruining futures of your children. Dapat, kapag mag-aasawa ka na, ready ka to sacrifice. Ready ka to live discomfort. And ready ka to receive help na may tutulong sa iyo upang maging matatag ang pag-aasawa ninyo. Problema ngayon, yung problema, hindi natin nalulutas dahil hindi tayo tumatawag ng help. We decided immediately, kapag hindi magkaunawaan, break na tayo. Parang baso na pag hindi man hindi mo gusto, hulog mo lang, basag na lahat. Ang pag-aasawa, hindi ganyan. Sacred relationship, sacred covenant.